Do you need to have thick skin to work in the creative industry? Well, yeah. Yeah, you probably do. For your own sanity, though. Pretty much nobody else's. Let's talk about it. The creative industry is tough. If you are a writer, if you're an artist, you're putting a bit of yourself out there onto the page, whether you're drawing something, whether you're writing something. There are definitely some creators I've met who say that they kind of take offense at the words "I lost my passion," but that is what they describe their behavior to be like. They don't get invested emotionally into what's going out onto the page anymore. They're taking a job. And I've heard the advice, and I think it's probably wise advice, that if you work for Marvel or you work for DC and you work for a company where you don't own your creation, it's work for hire, you almost have to take that kind of mentality at some point for your own well-being because they're not your characters. If you get wrapped up, and many creators have, in say how let's say you created Deadpool, and I'm talking about Rob Liefeld suddenly, but okay, let's forget Rob Liefeld. Let's just say it's you, person listening, and you created Deadpool, and you're very proud of your Deadpool creation, and you're glad you did it, and everything else. But you see that other writers are starting to use Deadpool in their comics and little guest stars, and they're not writing him right. They're writing him in a weird way that is not the way you would do it. Well, what do you do? If you work for Marvel and you sold off your creation to them, you take your checks and you shut up. That's what you do. It's just nothing else you can do. So for some, that work for hire kind of world is it's not for them, because if you really want to get deeply invested into owning what happens to quote unquote your character, but then you sold your character to the big publisher, I've had this very conversation with people over drinks. Uh, in fact, there's a bar in San Diego. I can picture it in my head right now, and it was a classic case of but it's not your character anymore. The guy keeps saying, I can't believe they did this to my character. I'm like, but it's not your character anymore. You got to come to grips with the fact that this character is no longer yours. You sold them. You took a check. Remember that big check? Remember that time that you signed the contract and you said that your creations were their creations. Remember that moment? That was the moment it stopped being your character. Period. Like there's not a lot of gray area in this one. It's gone. And then I've had the drunken creator like, it's not, but I breathe the life into it. This character wouldn't even be this character if it wasn't for me. It's like, dude, cool. It's not yours anymore. You sold it. I don't know why this is a very complicated concept for a lot of creators. Anyway, um, but the part of doing creative work is that you're going to get criticism, and that's going to happen no matter who you are. It's going to happen. And I think what a lot of people like to quote Harry Potter. There's a good line in Harry Potter somewhere, and it's Dumbledore is telling Hagrid, and Hagrid's pissed because he's been a teacher and his teaching sucks, and the parents are all writing in saying your teaching sucks and you putting the children in danger. And Dumbledore, like a very responsible headmaster, is going, screw those parents. Well, who cares about that criticism? And here's the good quote: if you wait for universal approval, you will be waiting forever. He says, see, you can tell I'm not a Harry Potter fan because I'm not quoting it exactly correctly. The books are fine, but clearly I'm not the big Harry Potter person because I know the quote off the top of my head. Also, I am making fun of the fact that Dumbledore is a terrible principal. I mean, he was an awful principal under any metric. I mean, here's a guy who regularly is like, let me take the students into danger. Let me hire crazy people to teach them. Hey, I think this one teacher might be trying to murder the students. Screw it. Let's just keep him on and see what happens. That's a lot of the Harry Potter defenders. I like to put that out there. This video has gone in a completely different direction, but they like to talk about, it's a great children's book. It's a lot of the love and the history. It's like, yeah, but that headmaster though was a lunatic. I mean, you got to kind of admit that was anyway. Um, but my point in that brief kind of sideways rant was that You have to learn to take criticism. You can't wait for universal approval because it's never going to happen. And I have watched creators in at cons lose their shit over the fact that one person out of 200 said, "I don't really like your book." And it's interesting, if you ever want to get under a creator's skin, and please don't, but if you ever are, trolling and you want to do that, your goal, don't go in with like aggressive criticism, like this writer is the worst writer of all time. It's easy for somebody to laugh that off. If you want to have the great criticism that's going to forever kind of dig under somebody's skin, you use the simple words, they used to be good, but now the work's just kind of boring. I don't know. It's not bad. It's not good either. I've watched creators just lose their mind over that stuff. They cannot, they cannot take it. And I've had many what feels like therapy sessions with different creators. Some of which then go on to be just giant egomaniacs. But anyway, a writer early in his career had somebody say that, hey, Punisher wardrobe, that their title, they didn't. It was a new relaunch, and they didn't like it, and people were not hating on it. They're just like, kind of boring. Don't really care for it. And this creator's just like, it eats me up inside. They're mad. And it's like power drinking, and his wife at the time, I think was wife's time, was like, all right, just kind of these stupid fans, and they're both getting themselves all worked up. And I'm like, good gravy, people. You've got to learn to just let it go. And you don't have to do it for the fan's sake. You don't have to do it for the company's sake. You have to do it for your sake, because this whole obsessive insanity that's going on right now is not healthy. What's going on right now is not good for you. For you as the creator, you are suffering. Not the fan, not the company. Old Marvel's never going to say, "Hey, lighten up." They probably should, but they're not going to do that. It's you who's driving yourself insane. And so I say this to now all of you who are listening, the dozens and dozens of loyal fans. That sounds demeaning. I'm sorry. I don't mean it that way. Um, you have to learn that criticism is no matter how personal it sounds, it doesn't have to be personal. That at the end of the day, you can be happy with your work, unhappy with your work. You can take that criticism, you can learn from it, or you can ignore it. And some fans and some people, and I've heard many videos that say every single creator has to take that criticism and say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" And I will learn from everything you say. Not necessarily. You know, don't try not learning from things. You don't have to learn from everything that's said, because some criticism's stupid. I mean, sorry, it's not all wonderful. It's not all puppies and daisies. Some criticism is dumb. And what you have to do as a creator is learn, hey, I'm going to listen to this criticism. I'm going to blow off this criticism. I'm going to try and do the very best I can here and there. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go to sleep at night. I'm going to pound this bottle of whiskey. No, don't do that last one. But you've got to just learn what's valuable, what's not. If you're not capable this night of hearing the criticism, you're going to fly into a crazy rage, then, uh, don't read it. Shelter yourself from it. That's not being weak. That's not being, quote unquote, soy. That's just knowing yourself. It's knowing that not everyone deals with criticism at the same rate. And that goes for everybody, by the way. Whether you're a comic creator, whether you're some of these YouTubers, it's amazing to me that some of the YouTubers who are fierce proponents of the "you must take criticism" will just themselves lose their minds if somebody goes and says, your channel's boring. They'll be like, instantly the complete people erupt, come out. Um, everybody has different moods. Sometimes you're in a good mood, sometimes you're in a bad mood, sometimes you can take criticism, sometimes you can't. Just learn when you can, when you can't, adapt, do the best you can, and that's really all you can do. But if you're a comic creator, if you're an artist new in your career, a writer, you're coming into this, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, in addition to get yourself a lawyer, manage your money properly, look out for yourself, make sure you don't give all your good ideas away, I can go on, is learn how to take or shield yourself from criticism. If you have a very sensitive temper, if you're the kind of person that's going to fly into a rage and then a deep depression, like who's the writer of Miles Morales Spider-Man right now? The guy will post like weirdly depressive, where you want to go, "Hey man, are you okay? Like you don't sound okay." When he takes heavy criticism on one of his books, like the guy goes into a depression, and it's like, dude, don't get off Twitter, block everybody. I'll go back on what I often say: run the block bots everywhere. Like shield yourself from this criticism because man, you can't take it. Like it's not healthy for you. So recognize it's not healthy for you and get the f off Twitter. I mean, not everybody is the same, and there's no weakness in recognizing that maybe you're not somebody who can take criticism. There's no shame in that at all. Zero. If that's you and that's your personality type, then just don't stick your head in the noose. I mean, only really sick people like to see kind of meltdowns like that. So it's it's a it's good for us and you. Like we don't want to see it either. Be happy, man. Be happy. Like they say to Captain Marvel, smile every once in a while. No, no, I'm sorry. I've opened up another door. Anyway, what what about you? Is there good advice you can give to people around criticism, handling criticism, knowing what to do with it, learning from it, making yourself better? Would love your thoughts, comments below. Always happy to see what you have to say. It's always way more intelligent than things I say on here. Like, subscribe, would appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.